Hey everybody, it's Joric. Hey there, it's Joric. Welcome to my channel. Thanks so much for checking it out. I greatly appreciate all of you that are subscribing, as well as those of you that are new. Hopefully you will subscribe. You'll find my content useful. This live stream, I want to go through a number of updates regarding Portugal, as well as some European travel news. So first things first, here in Portugal, an update on a video I made recently, there are still fires that are happening just north of the Algarve, north of Lisbon in Viseu and Castelo Branco near the Spanish border. So if you are traveling in the interior of Portugal, or if you are traveling down south towards the Algarve, you may need to be aware there are no road closures at this time. It doesn't seem like there are any tours that are being impacted by this. Most of the fires are under control, but with it still being the summer season and the fire season, you never know when one may come up. So just be aware. And I wanted to make an update because several people had been asking about an update to the forest fires, or the fires throughout Portugal. Still happening, just not as plentiful. And let's hope, knock on wood here, that they'll go away. And one thing I brought up in the video is that rarely are these human set fires. Oddly enough, this year, about half of the fires so far, Portugal has determined that they've been human set. And we're talking 80 or 90 fires, so 40 to 45 of them have been set by humans, either intentionally or unintentionally. So just as a matter of a public service announcement, as you would know this, maybe I'll go back to my US reference of Smokey the Bear. Don't start a fire that you can't put out. Be responsible when you're camping or hiking, biking, cycling, especially in the interior area of Portugal. It's so dry. We've dealt with a drought for decades, and it's continuing to get worse. So just be cautious of that. Next, I want to make sure that people are aware, an update on another video I did, airport strikes. This is going to impact all Portugal airports, which are all 10 airports in the mainland, as well as the Azores and Madeira, that August 19th, 20th, and 21st, airport employees have stated that they are going to strike. So if that is the case, it doesn't mean that 100% of them are going to strike. What it does mean is that at any point you could see severe delays or many cancellations that particular weekend in Lisbon, Porto, Faro, Funchal, and Madeira, as well as some of the Azore airports. We don't know how many of the employees are going to walk, and we don't know. Hopefully it will get resolved before the 19th, but it may not. And because it's going to impact all the airports, it's still the summer season, tourist season for people to come here and experience and explore Portugal. It is something to be aware of. So if you happen to be coming during that time, you have to be vigilant with checking with your airline to make sure that they are still showing the flight as being on time, no cancellations, no delays. And then let's just cross your fingers and make sure the hope is when you get on the plane, all is good. Now, I do have something as well relating to European news that is also an update to a recent video. Spain and EasyJet. If you are traveling in and out of Spain, many of you, maybe from the UK or parts of Europe, use EasyJet as I'll say an easy way, as a cheap way to fly around Europe. There are 9 days. They are going to perform, the pilots for EasyJet in Spain specifically are going to perform 3 72-hour strikes. First is August 12th, 13th, and 14th. The next is the 19th, 20th, and 21st of August. And then lastly is the 26th, 27th, and 28th. So those dates, if you're using EasyJet to get in and out or around in Spain, you're going to see some difficulty. There's a high likelihood that your flight is going to get canceled, or it's going to be delayed. So again, check with the airline, keep checking, just even day of flight. You may be able to fly on one of these dates and not have any issue, or you may have your flight canceled and you need to move around your travel plans because of it. So it's the summer of travel chaos. This is what 2022 has become. Let's hope that airlines, airports, countries around the globe get things figured out this year so that 2023 becomes a more normalized year for all of us who are looking to travel and go abroad. So I want to say as well, something I wanted to do on this first live stream is thank everyone, those of you that may be watching this, and it's even if you're skipping through for certain parts, those of you that have subscribed to my channel. I greatly appreciate it because as I want to try to get more viewers to subscribe and become more popular, my goal is to become an accurate and effective source for you to get information on moving to and living in Portugal. I'll say specifically when you're living here, really Lisbon, because that's where we call home. But also my other passion is European travel news. So I want to make sure that it seems like most people, if they're coming for Portugal news, they're going to skip the travel news or vice versa. But I think that that's an important component to being here and living in Europe. Most of us that are expats here, we are settled in Portugal, but it's more of a home base for us as well as many others, because for us, we very much love Portugal, but we love it because it's also close to get back to the US and it's close to get to so many countries in Europe, which is where we really loved coming to anyway. So I very much appreciate those of you that are subscribing, whether you're doing it for Portugal reasons or European travel reasons or for both. And Lucchese 20, thank you for finding me. Just got started here a bit ago. It took a little while to get going with things, but thank you so much for finding the live stream. So again, the airport strikes not only in Portugal, but across Spain for EasyJet. The fires here are mostly contained, but there are still some here. And then I also wanted to say the Algarve, a number of you, and when I say a number, about 8 to 10 have mentioned between now and let's say mid-September, you're looking to come to Portugal to visit, and the Algarve is going to be one of your destinations. It may not be a place that you're looking to move to. It may just be a place that you're looking to travel and get some vacation time, some beach time. Completely understand it. Beautiful, amazing beaches. But Portugal just came out today and have issued a notice that there are over 75 beaches in the Algarve that are at risk of collapsing. And that is because if you look at the Algarve, if you split it in half, the eastern half of the Algarve along the Atlantic going towards Spain is more flat, no real cliffs, it's more beaches. The western half of the Algarve is more cliffs, caves. There's a famous Benagil cave that you've probably seen in photos. I'm going to do a video on it shortly in the coming weeks. But as you move west towards the main Atlantic, all of these beaches look like horseshoes. So you have a beach with cliffs and they just line the Algarve, the southern coast of Portugal. And so many of these beaches are beautiful. They're picturesque. They're a place that they feel like they're out of a movie. The difficulty, though, is that we've been on a couple of them where it's been a peaceful day. The waves are calm. You're just hearing the birds, or maybe you have some music in your earphones, and then you start hearing some loud noises, and then you look to the left or the right, and there's some rocks falling. Thankfully, we haven't had any situation or any issues where anyone has been hurt, but that's becoming more and more of an issue as there is an erosion on the western side. So a couple of things. If you're looking to travel there, always beware. A number of people like to set up their tents, canopies, and towels right along the the ridge or right along the cliffside. We tend to keep our stuff closer to the water, obviously far enough from where the water is going to get it, but we keep it far enough away because we have heard stories over the years, some of the rocks falling and then injuring people along the way. So it's something to be aware of. Also, number two, there are a number of you that are following the channel and watch things for moving here, property reasons, real estate. And the Western Algarve, there are a great deal of opportunities. I'll say much of it's been built up. Your entry level point to get into a condo or to be able to get into a detached home, condo, maybe 300,000 euros and up, a detached home, maybe that and more. But as you get closer to a beach or a cliff, you just have to remember that there isn't always insurance here that covers you for that erosion, or if all of a sudden you come to visit and it's been several months since you've seen your property and now your property is in the Atlantic, there isn't always insurance that's going to cover that loss. Sometimes you almost have to find insurance back in your home country to see if, from an investment or a real estate property outside of your home country, if you can insure some or all of that. That is worthy and something to note. Next, I want to talk about, I just made a video yesterday, I believe, on piri piri chicken. And thank you for those that took the time to watch it. I've actually had some messages on Facebook that people have gone to some of them, or they've said, hey, why didn't you talk about this place? Or, hey, there's 5 more places that are more popular. And I will say what I try to do with my videos so that you have an understanding is I want to talk about places that I've been to. And oddly enough, there are many of the, I'll say, most popular places in Portugal or in Lisbon when it comes from a foodie perspective that we haven't been to yet. We'll get to them, but we have a lot of our favorites that we tend to stay with. So we happen to go back to the same place many times when we like it. We do look for new opportunities when we can, but we have been doing a lot of traveling in 2022, so we haven't been here as much as we normally have. But I'm going to start doing more food videos. Whether they get views or not, I'm not concerned about that. I want to try to create content that whether you come in 2022 or 2032, hopefully these places, if they're still around, you'll be able to go visit. I want to let people know that there are a few videos coming over the next month related to food. I'm going to do a comparison of or what I think are some of the top pastel de nata places in Lisbon. Again, much like Piri Piri, there are dozens of places. I think there's only a few that people really like or that tourists come to, but I'm going to give you some that are touristy, one that we love that is, but then I'm going to give you a few that are not so touristy that if you're in a particular neighborhood and close by, you'll want to check it out. Then I'm going to do another video on traditional Portuguese food. I did a video on the top 5 restaurants that I like. And I'll call them cafeterias. We go to them often, so it's something that we're very familiar with the food, the service, things of that nature. But I'm going to hit on top Portuguese traditional restaurants. There are a few out there that I don't think are getting much love, that are small, they're packed, you need a reservation for them, but it's more local and traditional. And I think I want to get some people that are more tourists or more people that are outside, new expats or people thinking about moving to Lisbon to try come check out these places, because I think if you do, you will really enjoy them. In fact, one I will say now during this live stream, one is called Alcantara 50. And it's a couple from the north of Portugal. And several of their dishes, they do traditional Portuguese. What they specialize in is octopus. So some of you may go, no, not interested. And I understand it's an acquired taste. But if you are going to be spending time in Portugal or moving here, it's going to be on the menu just about anywhere in a traditional Portuguese place. As common as codfish is, so is octopus. And the Alcantara 50 does it so well because they do it several different ways. They put it in a stew, they'll do it in a salad, they'll grill it. So depending on how you want your octopus, Alcantara 50 is a great place. That's going to be a part of my list, which I'm working on as we speak. There are a couple more subscriber requested videos that I'm going to make that I think will be helpful. It's really for expats, people moving here. Everyone else will probably ignore because it won't relate to you. But I'm going to make a video on furniture options in Lisbon because Lisbon is the main place that most people, or Greater Lisbon, within an hour or two of Lisbon, and where most people move to if they're coming from another country. And I get the impression, as we did when we moved, it's all going to be IKEA. Now, oddly enough, the desk that this computer's on, the chair, it's a lot of IKEA in our apartment, but there are many places to get some custom crafted furniture, or I'll say traditional furniture that's not IKEA made, wood, steel, different things of that nature. So I have a list of about a dozen places that I'm going to do a video. It's going to be spread out throughout Lisbon, not one area, so that depending on where you may be, you may want to check out the places and pick up furniture there once you do the move. Many apartments are furnished, but if you're getting an unfurnished apartment, or if you're moving here and you want something that is a little bit unique, that's different from IKEA, I hope the video will help you in that regard. I have another video that I'm going to be making probably towards the end of the month or the first part of September that's going to be alternative medicine or naturopathic medicine options in Lisbon. I've had 2 subscribers over this summer ask about what are the options for acupuncture, acupressure, different types of massages like Reiki massage, herbal medicine, things like that. So even I'll say yoga studios as opposed to going to a gym or a health club, some one-off locations that you can find some alternative medicine. I'm going to have a list there. I try to go use places that I've been to. I got to be honest, I haven't spent much time going and seeking alternative therapies, but I have several expats as my network that I've been able to reference, and many of them have a go-to place or 2 or 3 for acupuncture, acupressure, holistic foods, naturopathic doctors. Don't know why that's hard for me to say. So if you're coming here and you want something out of the traditional medicine norm, I'm going to have this video that hopefully will be a good guide for you. And then lastly, and thank you, Lucchese. Yes, Pastel Donata is going to be a challenge, and it's going to be a scavenger hunt, because I think people are going to go to 10 places and are probably going to love all 10, quite honestly. But I want to be able to do more of these, because I think that as much as I go on TripAdvisor, and we probably go to the same places when we're traveling and looking for places to eat, I want to be able to do and give you some options of some places that maybe you haven't heard of that are just as good as places that have been reviewed with several thousand reviews. So for example, this next week, we're going to be going to Morocco for a week. So in a few weeks, you'll start seeing a few videos related to Morocco. And as we're looking for food options, yes, we're going to some of the same websites that you go to find reviews for some of the food. But we're also trying to connect with locals there to find out where the locals would go to get food that isn't necessarily covered with fellow tourists. We try to get a locals experience when we travel abroad. And that is something that I'm going to make a video as well. So I want to give you a list of what's going to be coming, is how to travel like a local. As much as we are in Lisbon, some people say, well, a local experience is not in Lisbon, and I agree. Getting out of Lisbon, you get more of a traditional and authentic Portuguese experience. But when it comes to food and things like that, we found many places that we prefer to go when we look around. Everyone's speaking Portuguese. Very few people are speaking any other language, and we know it's local. It's a place that is going to be truly authentic and a good experience for us. So I'm going to give some advice or some recommendations on how you may want to travel as a local. And I will say some of it's going to be frankly ripped off from Rick Steves because I've followed him for 20 plus years, some of the information he has. So it's not going to be reinventing the wheel, but it's going to be some things that we've found. And as well, I'll say post pandemic, travel has changed greatly. First things first, if you've traveled this year, anyone has traveled probably anywhere, you've experienced some level of frustration, whether it be within your home country or if you've traveled internationally. uh, I don't have much hair left to pull out, but my goodness, there's just there's books that are going to be written and movies made about the travel of 2022. So as you're traveling, I also want to do some videos where I'm incorporating in some notes, some travel tips as you're going to different places, because as we're in a new world when it comes to travel, I want to make sure that you are on top of things and you know what to expect when you're going into a particular country. Now, my expertise, I'm trying to focus specifically on Europe so that many of you that are coming from North America, let's say, to Europe, you know what to expect when you're in Portugal, Spain. I'll throw in the UK as well. It's Europe, but with Brexit, many people have corrected me about not being in Europe. I still call it Europe. But wherever you're going, Italy, Greece, you name it, I want to make sure that you are up to date as far as your travel concerns, planes, trains, strikes, cancellations. But I also want to make sure that you have an understanding when you're going there, give you some places in Rome to go eat that maybe aren't on the top 50 list. Places in Florence, Italy, Athens, Greece, Prague, the Czech Republic, Bratislava in Slovakia, Marbella, Spain, just to get you thinking outside the ordinary. Because for several years when we traveled, we did 50%, I'll say, by the book. And what I mean by that, by books written by other people or by the top recommendations that you find on certain websites, TripAdvisor, things like that. But then the other half, we tried our best to go just walk into a place and see what it was like, knowing nothing about it. It was just open, give it a shot and try it. As well as that could be a retail store, that could be a museum that isn't on the top 20 list. As I try to grow the channel, I want to give you more that's, I'll say, outside the ordinary with Portugal. That may not be what everyone else is producing content on, as well as our travels. I want to give you some of the touristy, but I also want to give you some of the more remote and, I'll say, the hidden gems when we can find it, so that when you go, you can go to it and report back and leave a comment on whether you liked it or not. I will say, just yesterday I was tickled because it's not often that you do a video and within a day or two you get an immediate feedback from someone that actually went to a place that you did a video on. In fact, there's a couple that just moved here in January. They saw the Piri Piri video and then they went to one of the locations and they loved it. So that's one of those where, whew, okay, so I'm glad they didn't come back and say we got food poisoning and never recommend a place ever again. So I was glad that they were able to do that. And it's really cool to be able to get that feedback from someone. So as I go here, I'm not going to have the live stream for that much longer. I just wanted to do a first one to, one, make sure I could get some of the bugs worked out, two, give you an update on recent videos, updates to those recent videos, as well as some of the content that I'm going to be producing. But I also want to see too from you, what do you want to see from me moving forward? Are there particular videos, whether it be Lisbon, Portugal, Europe, travel, something else, that you would like to see that is different than what's being done? Are there things that you feel I should be doing differently moving forward? I'm going to do more live streams. After we get back from Morocco, I'm going to try to do a live stream every other week. This one happens to be, I'll say, if you're in North America, midday Eastern time, still morning Western or Pacific time. I'm going to do live streams at different times. So I'm going to try to do one where it would be morning in New York, really early morning in San Francisco. I'm also going to try to do a couple of live streams that might be 11 p.m. or midnight my time in Portugal, so that you would be able to experience a little later, maybe after dinner, New York time, but still workday San Francisco time. So to try to cater to people, because as I'm looking at my demographic, many people are from North America, but they're on opposite ends of the time zone. So I'm trying to be respectful of your time in doing that. So Mo Ward, you've asked a question. Would you be able to give some insight on ballroom dancing options in Lisbon? Um, I off the top of my head, no. But what I can tell you is a good friend of mine. He's from Boston. He is a ballroom dancer, and he goes and he travels throughout Lisbon. In fact, I believe he's been throughout Europe, being able to do ballroom dancing. So what I'm going to do is I will respond to you, and I will get you a list of places that he recommends, so I can give you something good feedback from someone that goes to these places often and can tell you which ones he might recommend and which ones he may not. So what I will do is I am going to take down and I will message you the names of those places. Um, so once I have them, you'll have them. So more word, I will find you, and then what I'm going to do is if you have an about you, if you have an email on that about you on your YouTube, I will send you a list of places. Also, I will say this because I want to make sure I'm respecting privacy. If you want to email me directly, uh, I am going to send my email. It's in my about you on my YouTube page. Um, and I'm just going to say here, I will send you a list of ballroom places so that you have a good list to work from. I want to say he goes to 3 or 4 places in town. In fact, I think he's going this evening. So I will message him once this is done and then ask him, hey, where are you at right now? Because we have somebody that's interested in knowing where some good options. I will also ask if he has some options in around Portugal, so not just Lisbon specific. So if you happen to be going to Porto, or if you're going towards the Algarve and you happen to want to do that, I will see what's available for you. So thank you for the question. Again, please email me at the McLean Joric. I will try to respond on YouTube, but I will also, if you email me, I'll do that. And this goes for anybody that's watching this right now. If you have questions and you don't feel comfortable in the chat, I get that. Message me, email me your questions. I will do one or two things. I will either make a video based upon the question. If you have a number of people asking the same question, if there's a theme, then I'll do a video on that theme and respond to it. If it's a one-off and it's something easy to do, I will just get you that information as quickly as I can. Usually, I see a few things happening on my phone right now, so my guess is people may be messaging, but don't hesitate to ask questions. Also, this is something that I am doing along with YouTube. Is I've started prior to doing this venture, I've done some consulting when it comes to travel consulting and moving to Portugal. Those are two separate things. So one, moving to Portugal, we've through it years ago. I stay up on what the latest is, and I try to keep up with people moving and what's happening here government-wise, what you may need to do in your home country. So if that's something that you would like recommendations or help with, or travel, if you want to set up a travel itinerary in Portugal or anywhere in Europe, it's something that I can do as well. So if you look in most of the videos I'm doing now, I am creating a little, in the description box, a place where we can do YouTube, or excuse me, we can do WhatsApp, Facebook, phone message. We can do Zoom calls as well. We can either do phone calls or video chat. And then you tell me what you're interested in. And then for a fee, which is $25 an hour, I can get you itineraries or answer whatever questions you have about the experience moving to and living in Portugal. So I hopefully some of you will be able to take advantage of that. And then Mo, I see what you're saying. You haven't decided where to move yet. Yes, yeah, please email me, and then I will get you a list, and maybe that will help determine if you're moving to Lisbon, what part of Lisbon you're in, if it's going to be closer to one of these venues for you. Um, so if that isn't everything that's out there right now for the first live stream, I greatly appreciate everyone taking the time to watch any portion of this. In the description box, I'm going to put in the date marks of the different parts so that if you forward this to someone else or down the road you need to look at this, you'll know what happened when in this. But I can't thank you enough for taking the time. And those of you that are subscribing, I much appreciate it. I'm glad that some of this resonates with you. And again, if there's anything I can do differently or do better, or you want other videos about Portugal, about travel that you haven't seen or you want me to do, throw them at me. I can figure it out. There's always a way. So as always, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this live stream, and enjoy your travels.